Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BETSPERTS.
Welcome to The Deep Dive.
What's my mic on?
I don't know. It sounds like your computer mic might be picking it up, not the expensive mic that BETSPERTS paid for. So take a look and see which is cued while we welcome the guests into the Week 3 edition of the NFL Deep Dive. How are you feeling this week in general, Andy?
Yeah, you were right. Right.
I got a keen ear for that sort of thing.
You do. And yeah, welcome. It is Wednesday night. Anybody who's joining us live, we appreciate it. We love the volume. The volume is high. The volume of bets is going to be kind of high for me this week. The volume of my voice is now at an acceptable level. Hopefully the volume of the Twitter chat and the YouTube chat is good. If you're in the YouTube chat, give me a thought. I think we set a thumbs up record last week, and I'd like to break that record. Honestly, that should be the thing. Like, it was, oh, look at that. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. You guys know the drill. We're going to go through every game. We did our breakdown. Yeah, we were on the wrong side of each other. That was bothering me a little. Thank you. We'll get some dubs.
Let's get some dubs. That's the most important part.
I already have one really embarrassing side, which honestly, it'll be funny when it clears by like 15 anyway. Sometimes that happens. It's like the Dallas over, never had a chance, and we'll have one of these where we are clearly on the wrong side and it clears easily.
We're due for one of those, by the way.
We are going to do.
I got a lot of plays with CLV that did not have a chance so far this season. So would love one of them to go the other way for once. This is totally off script, but
we have a script.
No, I just meant like I didn't plan on going down this road at all. I'd like to get right to the games because we got a lot to cover today. But I feel like when I make a play and it moves hard against me, like those are like the best bets of all of them. Like, because I hardly ever catch those. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I kind of do.
Like, more than when the market comes with me, I don't feel anywhere close to as good as I know I've lost when the market moves against me, especially on a total. So I don't know. Maybe it's just cognitive bias.
Honestly, it is. I just try to trust my numbers, trust the process, trust the people I talk to, all the smart people stuff I read and listen to during the week, especially you, Suma, Eric. Honestly, you know what? We all say Eric and we never say George. I feel bad. We need to do like a straight up solo George episode. So he's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And anybody who enjoyed those interviews we did with Suma and Eric and a couple of the other ones we did, like we should get a couple more of those rolling here throughout the season. Those are a lot of fun. Dude. Love bringing in an extra voice and having them do the heavy lifting for us.
As we settle into the to the regular season here, probably after like week 4, I 100% support bringing in a third episode interview style. Talk to some of our sharp friends. There's a bunch of people we've never talked to before at all that I would desperately love to interview.
Yes, we have a list of that. And I think, like every couple of weeks we'll do a bonus one. We won't even tell you. It'll just drop on like a Thursday afternoon or Friday or something for you. So let's get right into it. We are still before the bye week start, which means we have a full effing slate. We'll get to everything except the Monday night game. Maybe we'll do something special with that later in the week or something, but we always do touch on that Sunday. We are starting with a banger, just a banger. And I should do like a video when I update my power rankings to like tell people like, hey, this is what I did with my power rankings this week. And I don't think it's that they are that surprising, although there has been some surprising aspects. I think I just had them a little too low. Carolina was one of my biggest movers this week.
Okay.
Like I did move them up.
Defensively or overall?
A little bit of both, but more defensively. Like I have been impressed with the defense quite a bit. And I think that Carolina's offense hasn't looked as bad as I thought. And some of it has to be obviously opponent adjusted, which is going to be hard because, again, here's another opponent where how are we going to adjust it after they play rookie head coach?
Broncos,
rookie head coach, rookie quarterback on a Thursday night, although it is on the road. So taking the show on the road down to Houston, this was 4 on the look ahead. Is the that's the first question to you, Drew. Is the difference between Tyrod Taylor and Davis Mills 4 points?
I know the answer to this because I know everything about Davis Mills, including his first name is Davis. So first of all, my rating on Tyrod Taylor coming into the season was not reflected by the quality of his play while he was the starter. He played better than I had rated him. My rating on Davis Mills is extremely low because he was a third-round draft choice at quarterback. How about Davis Mills starting an NFL game before Trey Lance? Who would have guessed the odds of that preseason?
Before Justin Fields.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
By a few days.
You're right. You're right. He is the fourth starting quarterback of this QB class. But yeah, no, Tyrod played better than I expected. I don't want to give the credit to the system. I want to give it to Tyrod. Davis Mills, one of our sharp college friends, said he's better than people rating him. So maybe he's got a pulse here. Maybe this should be 7, not 8. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not betting this game pre-flop. No way. I think ultimately the Houston story is going to be a complicated one this year. I don't think that you can undersell the fact that they had a lot of really kind of veteran players that played above played up for lack of a better word, because they have some pride and they heard an entire offseason of how they were going to be the worst team ever. And they're playing hard and their offensive line is okay. And their defensive side of the ball has not been tested. I don't know why I don't know what was going on with the scheme for Cleveland. It was a little bit of we're going to save the good plays maybe, but that was wild that the target distribution was all tight ends and running backs, no wide receivers. I don't know why you wouldn't attack with the wide receivers against this unit, but so be it. I would expect that this is probably a more entertaining game than people think. Just because you got some characters, you'll have some Sam Darnold doing stuff. You got Robbie Anderson doing stuff. DJ Moore is exciting. Brian Burns is exciting. There's some interesting aspects of this. All of them on the Panthers side of the ball here. No lean, no look, no interest. We'll do a halftime show though.
We will do a halftime show, and yes, it's hard to judge against. Obviously, week 1, what we saw with the Panthers, ugly game. But then also just the injuries last week. The Saints just didn't look good, I guess, under pressure. That was part of the upgrade. Like Carolina did get some pressure. I like that. McCaffrey actually got dinged up a little. He didn't leave. I think he left for a little. He's fine, but that's a worry for me with this Panthers team is like he's going to miss time at some point. It almost feels like I can say that with some degree of certainty, which will suck for them. But I suppose they'll get by. Their easy schedule, their easy rest schedule will probably just keep them rolling. They're going to be similar to the Cardinals for me.
Crazy,
it's like, this team
similar to Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos, another one. It's like, hey, the Broncos, Cardinals, and Panthers. I'm going to repeat what I'm going to say for all three. Like, this team probably isn't as good as they look, but we're not going to see the regression this week as they play some bad defenses. And yes, tease it if you want.
That's the right call. I think it's a tease.
It's a definite
tease or nothing.
It's a tease or nothing. I'm leaving this one alone, and I will. I mean, and if they do get to, they might cover. If the pressure is as good, getting probably it's a good offensive line in New Orleans. It's a good offensive line in Houston. But if they can get the same amount of pressure as they did on Jameis, it's it might end up being a cover, and you never sweat this teaser. I'll just be betting the second half, and we'll move on to Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. The worth watching a little bit about Carolina, just because I probably will want to take some action if they are actually 5. What do you think the line against Dallas opens on the road week 4? Carolina at Dallas. Look ahead is 5.5.
I mean, I can see it just staying in that range if everything goes to plan.
Actually,
because
the
I
revised
think
look ahead is 4. So they've already moved. Carolina has moved up 1.5 points relative to preseason already.
Yeah, it's not going to move across any important numbers. I think is kind of where I'm at there. So I have Carolina moved up but I have Dallas is
neutral
right there. Yeah, pretty neutral. I have them a half point better than an average team.
I've downgraded their coaching. That's about the only thing.
Yeah.
Arizona at Jacksonville. I'll tee this one up.
I just did this one already. And I mean, quick callback, and this is about all I'll say in this game. Quick callback to the opening game. That is why I'm having trouble with rating out Houston. I think Jacksonville might be a way bigger mess than anyone could have predicted.
Yeah,
and the fact that Houston beat them is probably not an aberration. It's just Jacksonville is that bad.
Yeah, and also at the same time, like, this should not be as big a spread as it is. Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are 7.5-point favorites currently against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. They are flying across country. They are starting early, and they are laying north of a touchdown. This total is 52.5 or 52, largely because there is not a lot to be confident about this Cardinals defense after what we saw against Minnesota. However, the Minnesota attack and the Minnesota weapons, specifically on wide receiver, are so far superior to what Jacksonville has to offer. I have a tough time in any way, shape, or form seeing how the Jaguars contribute to this 52. Classical handicappers will go to war with the Jaguars at this number. They're a home dog that is 0-2 against the spread, that has been adjusted out aggressively 2 weeks in a row. Right? The look ahead preseason was like 3,
4,
and now it's 7.5.
Yeah,
it was a field goal, or it was under a field goal. It was 2.5.
Really?
They moved across Jesus. 3. They've reverse teased this fucker since the preseason, and you are laying the reverse tease and saying that 20% win probability that's now being counted for that you're laying is correct, right? And that's a big ask. Here is the problem. The Jaguars defense has been on the field for an eternity so far already this season.
Like 70% of the game.
I don't know how it's possible. I really don't. And they're not talented on top of that. Everything about what's going on with the Urban Meyer regime is like literally the worst possible scenario, worst case scenario. I don't think they're permanently ruining Trevor Lawrence, but they might be. Everything, this is just awful. Sideways. Cannot get involved with the Jaguars. Someone out there will take the points with the Jaguars and will, if they cover, will beat their chest about easiest spot on the board, blah 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 on Sunday.
Yeah, when they win by 35, that's fine.
Fine. You can have that one. You can have it.
Another kind of dicey teaser. Again, it's a road favorite, which isn't, of the 4 ways you can bet a teaser, it's the worst. It has been not as good over the last decade or something. Somebody had a good comment in the YouTube. Thinks are playing Bama this week. We want Bama. God, that Urban is cracking me up. But again, a road favorite is not the best way to use your teasers. But if you had to bet this game, it's not terrible just because Jacksonville's defense is that bad. The Cardinals, though, they're not as good as we think. They've played 2 really, really bad secondaries. Minnesota was missing tackles left and right. It made them look a lot better on offense than they probably are. And again, it's another one where we're not going to see any different this week. Like, they're still going to be having guys wide open. Our little guy Kyler is going to be all over the field. Like, it's going to be a mess for the Jags defensively, but Arizona's defense still hasn't stepped up. And to be fair, and I never say anything nice about this guy, but Kirk Cousins is playing well. Like,
yes,
Kirk,
he is.
Like, it's hard to tell if you didn't watch these Minnesota games, which God bless you, you're lucky, but he is playing pretty well. And obviously they're 0-2
in spite of his coaching.
In spite of the coaching, in spite of the play calling, in spite of the offensive line. Like, this is Kirk Cousins' best year so far. And again, it's 2 games. I'm being hyperbolic at this point, but he has played
2
well.
Road games, by the way.
They should have won the game. I mean, it was not that long to a kick.
They should be 2 now. If it weren't for an incorrectly called fumble in overtime and a missed field goal from a kicker who is kicking insanely long field goals, then they are 2-0 and not 0-2. But we'll come back around on Minnesota.
We will.
Last comment on these 2 teams. All my preseason Jags positives I've already written off as losses.
Yep.
They have no chance at this point. And except the late ad of Urban Meyer, first coach fired. Yeah, that still has legs. The Mac Jones Rookie of the Year. Are you worried at all about Rondale Moore?
I said it kind of goes back to exactly what I said. If he got to play the Minnesota Vikings and the Tennessee Titans all year long, the guy might break a bunch of records.
He's really fucking good, though.
I know, but I mean, he was catching these passes, and then he was getting a bunch after the catch because Minnesota just can't tackle. Like, they're going to play some good defenses. They're going to play some good defenses in division. And, I mean, he's going to be fine, but he'll be there. I mean, somebody asked me if he'd bet him at 28-1. I said no. And then they came back and said, what about 66-1? Because they had a slow book. I'm like, that is a horse of a different color. Like, that might be worth a few bucks because he should be like 25-1. So
okay, we'll circle back on Mac Jones when we get to the New England. But let's move on to Indianapolis, Tennessee. Do you have anything to say about this mess?
What? All right, I want you to just pretend your Titans number is perfect. You've nailed that power number for the Titans.
Yes.
You have your Colts number, and you're making an adjustment.
Yes.
What number is higher for the Colts? Eason or Wentz with 2 sprained ankles?
I have 4 Colts numbers. You want to know what they are?
Yeah, I'd love
to. I will tell you my 4 Colts numbers, and then I'll let you guess what order they're in.
Okay.
I have Colts with any other quarterback, any other starting quarterback. I have Colts with Wentz healthy. I have Colts with a bum wheel, and I have Wentz with the bum wheel, and I have Eason.
I'd go Wentz healthy.
Yes.
Any other quarterback.
Yes.
Wentz bum wheel.
No.
And then Eason Wentz bum wheel. You said
Eason.
Wentz bum wheel. You said Wentz bum wheel. You didn't say wheels.
Wentz. It's one. They're making a big to do about 2 sprained ankles.
The lower ankle sprain is not a big deal. The high ankle sprain is the worrisome one. But yeah, Eason slightly ahead of Wentz, and it sounds like Wentz is going to try to go. This could be bad. Again,
that's
Titans,
like my least. That's my lowest number, and I'm adjusting them down 2 standard deviations offensively if you trot Wentz out there with a bum wheel, because the only thing I've seen out of this unit that has been inspiring at all outside of their running game has been his scrambling and his availability to evade pass pressure. And Wentz is bringing it upon himself. He holds onto the ball too goddamn long. He makes some absolutely horrific decisions. I'll do it twice a game. We've known this about him forever. I bet on him last week in spite of all that, and it almost bit me in the ass. Probably the last time I'm doing it this season, at least until I forget about it. So it's I do not want any part of Wentz without his scrambling ability against even a Titans defense that I find to be absolute garbage. This Titans team, you went going back to your original point. Let's say my Titans rating is perfect. Do you want to guess what it is out of 32 teams in terms of total rating?
Man, I have a really big mess of teams right below average, like in that -1 range, and they are just below that for me.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
What do you got? -3?
I'm at 21st best in the NFL.
Yeah,
my 21st best team overall.
My 16 through like 22 is just kind of a mess, and then there's another grouping there. But yeah, I don't have them very high. I think I have them 17th, 18th. But again, it's not like there's big gaps in the teams there. Femi brings up a good point. I think you just said it. Wentz gonna hold the ball, but without the ability to move. That again against any pass rush, even a lesser pass rush. Like, I don't think this is a bad pass rush. It's a bad secondary.
God damn it. If Wentz was healthy, this was such a good spot to back the Colts. So good, because the Titans cannot rush the passer. They cannot generate pressure to save their lives, which is exactly what you hope for if you are a Wentz-led team at this point in your career. So fingers crossed, they play the Titans again in like a month and change. Wentz being healthy, ability to scramble, ability to move, and equal kind of priced market where they're either a short favorite or a short dog at home, and give me the Colts. I will absolutely play them in that spot. So I've already come back around on never playing Wentz again, but I'm going to do it one more time this season.
Yeah. And again, I would probably look at the Titans at 5 here. I make it without a quarterback adjustment. I make it 5.3 with just I have a Wentz at like 80% adjustment in right now because I don't know what I'm waiting to see a little bit more on like today and tomorrow. But if I downgrade this, I'm not worried about missing the 5 is what I'm saying. Like if Wentz looks like hot garbage or they go with Eason and it moves to 6, I probably have bet it. Again, they don't have a pass rush. And the thing is, it's funny, you saw Ben Baldwin today getting into it with Colts Twitter, which was pretty good. Like the where he basically makes the without saying, and he says that quarterbacks sacks are a quarterback stat, especially for somebody named Carson Wentz. And yes, he does dance his way into sacks, and if he can't move, he's going to make it work, even against a bad pass rush. So I'm actually my best case scenario for betting the Titans would be Wentz looks like garbage on his feet, and they still play him.
Yeah, for sure. Easy one to scratch, though. Let's move on to Baltimore at Detroit. The Detroit Lions, feisty for a half, and then shut out in the second half, which ultimately was a huge outcome for those of us who were on the second half under.
Green Bay got
the hair of our chins there. Lions in general, though, have proven to be slightly underrated. Through 2 weeks, they were competitive against the Niners, competitive against the Packers on the road. They stink. Goff is not good, but he's not like the 32nd best quarterback in the NFL, which is what he kind of could have surmised his rating was by the way people talk about him. So the fact that they are getting 8 points here, did you take a sniff of this? Considering that Baltimore is coming off of a very emotional win after all of these tries, they finally beat Kansas City. They do it at home. Now they turn around, they go on the road, and they're playing a team that they know they're better than. Is any whiff of Detroit here, or Baltimore nothing?
It does feel maybe a repeat of last game, Detroit first half, and then Baltimore imposes their will. I guess if you're Baltimore,
I think it's the other way around.
You could see. Well, I mean,
think
that
if you
was week 1.
Yeah, no. This feels a lot more like that. This feels a lot more like a week 1 type of matchup where Ravens just blast out of the gate and Lions, if they cover, it's the back door.
I make this 9. I'm not playing it. I'm not laying it with the Ravens. Again, it's another road favorite teaser leg, which again aren't great, but especially maybe a letdown spot. Hopefully a really good coaching staff led by Mr. Harbaugh isn't going to let a team have a letdown spot indoors against an inferior team. They just got, they just saw a really good tight end, and they had to play against a really good tight end that kind of gashed them at times, as he will do to everybody. It's not Kelsey, but if you're going to prepare for another good tight end attack, at least you played the Chiefs. I mean, Hawkinson's good. Cephas was good. This was kind of what they did in the first half. It was all they could do in the first half. They got some decent running, and I don't know. Look at how the Chiefs did though on the ground. I think they can make them. It's funny, making them a one-dimensional team turns them into we can only throw it to the tight ends team because the receivers are still not very good. So it's. I guess it's gonna it's Hawkinson props again. If they put his yardage
the game state's gonna be
if it's at like 65 again, Hawkinson over 3.5, 4 catches, whatever like that's fine and dandy. Play those. That's about all I could get involved with. Here's Hawkinson props from a game state standpoint, and I don't know what I'd have to play for Ravens. It would be some sort of running back prop, which with their running back room, I don't know what I would do. So I'd stay away from that. Ravens in a teaser. Lions, if this gets bet out to like 10, like if it gets to 10, I might have to just take a whiff of it. I don't know. It's kind of going the other way.
There's somebody out there that likes the Lions.
Yeah, it's already come the other way, so I doubt it does get bet unless we get an avalanche of Sunday money on the Ravens.
Somebody out there likes the over. Somebody out there likes the Lions, which I like. Synthesize that the Ravens defense is overrated. No disagreement. No disagreement. It is market wide. It is. I agree also with some of the points you made. Harbaugh and the Ravens in general have bucked the trend of letting down after a big win. They have bucked that trend where they will go on the road, play a dog shit team, and you can lay the points. They did it a couple times last year against Washington. And who else was it?
God, real quick too, Zelensky here just pointed out they played Waller week 1. What an absolute fucking gauntlet of tight ends.
Waller, Kelsey, Hawkinson. Oh my goodness. Who do they have next week? Wow. That's wild.
I'd say 50-50, Jason.
They get Fant next week, and then they finally get a reprieve going up against the Colts. Although, is Zach Pascal a tight end or is he wide receiver?
A little both.
All right, whatever. All right, well, I don't have a play on this one. If anything, tease Baltimore. Let's move on to the Washa football team at the Buffalo Bill. And this has been a very interesting market. Very interesting market. Opened up with Buffalo Bills as the – actually, let me get the look ahead. We were expecting to see something in the ballpark of 8.5. It was going to be a big number. Westgate look ahead was 9 and got bet up to 9.5. They open 8.5. It gets bet down to 7.5. And some sharp market prognosticators we know think this goes to 7. Obviously, there is correct me if I'm wrong. There's an appetite among the betting community right now to try to get back some money that was lost fading Josh Allen last year when he had his career season. And they are dying for this narrative to be real, that he is regressing into a pumpkin. And there is a lot of real quick. People were quick, right? Like we talked a lot in the preseason about market velocity. And like just the fact that so many people's opinions were that Allen was trash going into last season, and then they had to eat crow. Now they are just dying to go back to their priors on him. Does this check out?
Yeah, and if you want a good breakdown of like Allen regressing, listen to literally every single other sports show all week long. My God, this has been a topic. It's been 2 games, and I tell you what, deep passing is high variance. Like,
of course.
Mahomes didn't have a great deep passing year. That, like, honestly, he's taken steps back, and it's like, well, this is going to come back. It's a high variance proposition, and yes, he's made some bad decisions here, but it's been 2 games. It's hard to write him off like, oh, this is going to be closer to 2019 Josh Allen, and that's why I have this game as a 10. I'm a little over 10.
Okay. And
there's almost no chance I'm going to lay it with the Bills because I've been reticent to adjust the Bills numbers down around a quarterback. I've said in my mind, I'm like, I'm not making an adjustment for Josh Allen being bad, but I remember that I didn't. So my Bills number is going to be off compared to the market sentiment. Yeah. I'm going to show that I said, no matter what happens, it's going to say I should bet the Bills this week, and I probably just won't. I know some sharp people that are on the football team. It's a really decent backup, and he's shown that he can play at an NFL level and hang with teams like the Giants. Like the Giants are good, but they are coming off a Thursday night game. They have extra rest. The Bills had a bit of a weird game. Like obviously that was a misleading scoreboard. As far as it wasn't that big of a beatdown, and there were some issues with the team there. Like they didn't play like some perfect game that they just beat the shit out of the Dolphins. There were problems there. So I'm not super high on the Bills in this spot, but again, kind of a theme, might tease them.
Yeah. Okay.
Like again, at home, even off a long week, I don't think they have a better coaching staff. I have a lot of respect for Rivera and the gang, but I have the utmost respect. I think it's a top 3, probably top 2 coaching staff overall up there in Orchard Park. Okay. So I can't give them too much grief here. And a couple of people have mentioned the total.
Yeah, you want a losing total? Here we go. I bet into the over. Yeah. And it's gone against me. So congratulations to the underbackers.
No, I'm getting in on it. I'm gonna save you here. I'm betting it because it came down, and
well,
I'm fine.
You got a better number than I.
Well, I know, but I'm fine with this because
if this lands 46, I'm gonna be peeved, but that's okay. All right, let's cover a couple points here that I think are relevant. Josh Allen played two pretty difficult defenses in week 1 and week 2. His completion percentage over expectation was a lot lower than what we saw from him last year. And those are facts. That is data. That's not opinion, right? Teams had an entire offseason to review the Josh Allen tape from last year and have a better idea of how to game plan for this guy. That is also, somewhat relevant. I mean, the idea of a quote unquote sophomore slump is usually because guy takes the league by surprise and it takes an entire year of film study for them to figure out how to defend him. Teams may have a better idea of how to defend him or at least make him make throws that are more difficult for him to make. Brian Daboll is still a good offensive coordinator. He is still a pass first offensive coordinator. He has a quarterback in Josh Allen who is equally, if not more impressive with his wheels than Daniel Jones. And so this Buffalo Bills team should be able to put scoreboard pressure on the Washington football team, considering Washington football team's secondary is quite poor. In fact, if they do not get pressure on the quarterback, they can be utterly exposed downfield. And I would expect that you see a lot of opportunity here for Josh Allen to get after it in the passing game. And if for whatever reason the pressure is getting there from the front four for Washington, he can scramble. He can make first downs with his legs. I do not think that the Bills have an issue here scoring points. The only thing I will add to this discussion about the total that has me a little side-eye is there could be some wind. And in general,
that's why I'm waiting.
In general, Josh Allen has not been a great wind guy. There have been a lot. There have been a couple.
Week 1.
There have been a couple of week 1, and there have been a couple of notable examples in my mind where that offense has been stymied by the wind. And so if this is a high teens, low 20s wind game in Buffalo, coldish weather, I'm not going to feel great about the over. And this is going to be there'll be one other game where we will make this note, but by all means, it is getting to the time of year where you better be checking your favorite weather related app before making a total play every single freaking time.
Weatherman Will. Yeah. No, Will Brinson.
He does. Oh, what did you get Will's take on the wind for this game?
No, by the way? We're going to. That's going to be in the secret chat. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
If the wind doesn't get wild, I will be on this over. I don't understand the understeam. Absolutely. The secondary can be beaten. Blitzing and bringing extra pressure against Josh Allen sometimes can be detrimental to your defense. Because he can scramble so well. And I like what Heineke's doing. I mean, we said Heineke will be a lower variance guy. I don't know if that's the case. He's willing to go deep to McLaurin. He's willing to sling it a little. I think this is his shot. He kind of has to YOLO it a little and maybe win this starting job next year or catch on somewhere else or do whatever, go full Case Keenum on this shit and win some games and get another contract. So I'm fine with that. Monday through Saturday says wine, Sunday wind. That sounds about right for Brinson. That guy drinks. That's what they do in the Carolinas. They get after it. Wine until Sunday and then wind. I will check that. So I'll get into the weather. I'll tweet it out and I'll put it on.
I agree with your take here. I think Heineke can score too. I like his. He's live. He's he's taking more chances. He turns the ball over from time to time. He'll give him some short fields.
Pick 6 would be fine.
Pick 6 would be fine by me. And to Giorgio's point, it could get away from Washington, which is why I have no interest in taking the points with them. But what we have seen is Daboll does not know how to stop pressing the pass. Even when they are comfortably ahead in games, they are never really looking to run the ball, which always has me feeling relatively good about playing an over that is in the mid 40s.
We get
under the key number of 47. So that's my hope. God, I hope it's not fucking windy. I hate it when they lose on a wind angle. Hate it.
Yeah, I this is one I probably won't bet till Saturday. I'm gonna take all. I'm betting the Gophers again, taking it all and putting it back into this. So
Gophers were great last weekend. Holy shit!
My God, I was at a bowling alley for a 10-year-old's birthday party. just
God, they were
begging them. I said, can you put the Minnesota game on above the lanes? I walk back, sit down at the little table there, and they put on the Twins in Toronto. What are we doing? Nobody
Twins.
Wants to watch
they've been eliminated
game.
for a month. Put on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, buddy.
Yeah, please turn this off. So
I love it.
New Orleans at New England. Mea culpa. We're dumb. I mean, we bet this at 2.5. I bet this at a 3. So I bet it at a 3 where I sold to a 3. This was at 2.5 on Sunday. We both bet it. I have a 3 at plus money. So not sitting on negative CLV per se, but it certainly hasn't been looking like, yet. It certainly may not get there. The market isn't super in agreement with us, and the injury news is not leaning our way. We were kind of in the boat where we were hoping that some of these defensive injuries for New Orleans would trend from bad to worse. That would be a problem. But this is, again, a Saints team that is in a very unique situation where they haven't been at home in their own beds. They've been practicing in Texas and traveling and playing a home game in Jacksonville. So another week on the road for them. The road-weary Warriors of the Bayou head up to play in Foxborough against a good coach, a good rookie quarterback who moved down in his Rookie of the Year odds simply by not screwing up. He didn't have that great of a week. Like, he had an okay, serviceable week, and everybody else around him just kind of, especially the quarterback he played against, really, really screwed things up. And he is now like a plus 250, plus 200 at some real square books. So he looks good. The defense is whipping into shape faster than I had hoped for New England. And I mean, it's not good yet, but I've seen some problems early on in the seasons with these New England defenses. And I think we can throw out last year because of how many people opted out. Like, that was such a unique outlier year. What do you think of this New England defense, Drew?
I have them rated relatively high. They're a top 10 unit for me.
Yeah, I didn't think I would have them that high this fast.
I didn't either. And I thought I was concerned about some of the secondary play we saw in the preseason that, jokes on me, do not evaluate preseason. They're evaluating the players. Ultimately I thought, the Patriots defense is well coordinated. Surprise, surprise. No. They made a ton of investments to get a pass rush that is more teeth, and that has borne fruit to this point in the season. They've gone up against two very, very bad offensive lines, maybe the two worst offensive lines in the NFL, in the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. Fair to say?
Yeah.
At least to the way they performed so far this season, they may be the two worst.
Good point by Patrick, real quick. Their dome did catch on fire today. That's not a good omen.
Never. Ooh, yeah. I hate to see that.
Or
haven't they dealt with enough tragedy in New Orleans, for crying out loud? Now they're burning domes. The general pass defense for this Patriots, which is where their bread is buttered, is solid, even in the absence of Stephon Gilmore. And they should be a plus CV matchup against a Jameis Winston, who's very much an unknown quantity still. Boy, was his play last week not great. About the worst performance I've seen out of a quarterback this season, even worse than Zach Wilson's 4 interception performance, probably against the Patriots, aforementioned. But the Mac Jones part of this equation is interesting to me. And but before covering that, it wasn't a bad bet to bet it early, I didn't think, because the idea of the Saints continuing to have this fatigue issue is still real. In fact, I don't know how you come up with a fair number for the Saints right now, which is probably we should have just passed. But I don't know how you come up with a fair number for how this team is going to perform baseline, because as you mentioned, they've been away from home now going on 3 weeks. They have traveled now 2 weeks in a row. This is their 3rd week in a row traveling, but it's not like they've been in their beds in between. And the coaches, it's missed the entire week of prep because of COVID. I don't know that those guys are all back. There's probably some guys that are still trying to get, 2 negative tests in a row to rejoin the team. And on top of all of this, the guys that were injured mattered, and they didn't get the standard treatment at the team facility because they're not even there, right? So like the idea that they were going to make a miraculous recovery without like the normal rigors of the, a week of treatment, I thought was pretty low probability. So I don't think it was a stretch to take New England early. But now that the dust is settling and we're seeing the Saints defense is pretty much full strength in terms of practicing, particularly their cornerbacks, that makes this a tougher test for Mac Jones.
It does.
Because Mac Jones, I don't know if you know this, but best ever all time in the history of measuring CPOE. He is completing passes at an all-time rate. Little context. There's only 70 dropbacks. That's not a lot. A little more context. Did you see his expected completion percentage is like over 70%. So basically, they're not asking him to do much, and he's doing exactly what they're asking him to do. Right?
Yeah, it's like, hey, you're really, really, really good at checkdowns.
Yes.
Or 3-yard crosses.
Yes. His completion percentage to date in the NFL as a young NFL career, 80%. Amazing. Well done. Great start. You didn't throw YOLO picks like Trevor Lawrence is throwing. At the same time, though,
we're making fun of the stat.
He does not. The fact that it's 80 relative to 70, the 70 is the insane part. What you're subtracting the 80, from the 80. That nobody has an expected completion percentage of 70 over the course of the season. Those are very high probability throws.
Yeah.
And then he just happens to be doing well at them. So, good on him. He's going to win a bunch of games.
It was a weird stat. It was just, and if anybody doesn't understand that completion percentage over expected, it's just, like if you make 20 throws based on where the receivers are and how deep and whatever, and I think they even put separation in there for some of these stats, and it's like what should your percentage of completions be? And the fact that his baseline for that is he is expected to complete 70% of his passes. That, like you said it perfect. That speaks more than what his actually over expectation was. That just speaks to how easy the passes they're asking him to make are, which probably by design. Like, you've got a good coaching staff just easing him in against. I mean, a tough test in Miami, but against another shitty team, that was a nice test for him to get a sea legs, get a win. Probably should have won the first game, if we're being honest. And I think that does get tougher. I think they do ask for.
Let's address this question. So Femi brings up 70% means he's not taking the necessary amount of chances to be a good quarterback. Is it that? Or is it some combination of what they're giving him to run combined with the fact that the more difficult passes to make would presumably be to open wide receivers who are creating separation down the field, which the Patriots do not have.
Doesn't exist.
It does not exist.
The limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist. There really is no like presumably they could make things tougher for him. They probably will. Might not be this season though, considering this roster. Because honestly, your best targets are your running backs and your tight ends. And if that's what they stick with, fine with me. Like, realistically, that's probably what they should be doing, right?
And there was a point in the preseason where I think they were pretty sure they were going to have Cam Newton starting the season. So, I mean, this was kind of right. This was an adjustment on the fly. They absolutely went out and got, 2 decent tight ends to run that kind of offense. So they're going to run the kind of offense for the personnel they put together with the rookie quarterback. It'll get tougher over time, but it will never be, Brady DeMoss type offense. You don't have the receivers to do it. You have a young quarterback. I'm fine with what they're doing. It's just, it's some goofy stats.
Yeah. Let's not say never, but for 2021, I'm fine saying
never this season.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So
anyway,
we
Jameis
played
Winston,
the Patriots.
good luck. Good luck, Jameis Winston, up against Bill Belichick. I hope you stink. And I hope that this is a never in doubt cover for the Patriots, even though I feel like I would, if I could take one play and take backsies, it would be this one. But that is what it is.
Yeah, and to close, I didn't like the tight end moves. But now that it all came together, it's like, no, tight ends are a rookie's best friend. Like a couple of big tight ends that can get open short. Like he's going to feel fine. He's going to feel comfortable. So, all right.
LAC, KC.
Divisional matchup.
Ooh, buddy. Very, very tough handicap. In a world where Clyde in a world where Clyde Edwards-Helaire does not fumble on the game-winning drive, and the Chiefs come into this one 2-0, having just defeated the Browns and the Ravens. Do we get Chargers 7.5?
One man dares to wonder, do we end up on the other side of a touchdown here? Probably,
right?
I don't know what kind of downgrade you could give the Chiefs offense. The Chiefs defense definitely is gashable. We'll see what we can get from, obviously, some fantasy people are probably going to be in love with the running game for the Chargers, even on the road. And Herbert has been Cousins-esque, where I think Herbert's been very good, and we haven't really given him enough credit for it because we're not seeing it with the record. In just, the week one was whatever, but then the Cowboys game was marred with penalties, and it wasn't. I joked around with people, like, oh, what do you think of the refs? It's not like the refs were biased or the refs were making bad calls. The Chargers were making mistakes. You have a new head coach. You still have a young quarterback. You get some moving pieces there. Like they made some dumb mistakes. The in the grasp call was dumb because they'd let Big Ben run around with like 6 people hanging off him for like 10 minutes.
Of course.
So I didn't care for that. And I didn't have a horse. I didn't have a horse in that race, but I was kind of hoping for the Chargers to win. I just like the Chargers. I think it's a fun young team. I like their coach. I like Herbert, and I didn't know quite what to make of that, other than we'll get to the Cowboys. And I think McCarthy actually was smart for a little bit, which is tough for me to say out loud, but I'll give him a little credit. So Chiefs, I gave him a defensive downgrade. The offense still looks fine. They still never really went over the top. They didn't get the deep pass. Tyreek didn't have much of a game. Kelsey did what Kelsey does. And I don't know why they're running the ball there. It's kind of like the Lions when they had that 4th and 1, not to go back to them, but I believe we were on the air when we said it. Why wouldn't they go for this 4th and 1? They've been gashing him on the ground all day long. Like they could run for 3 yards quite easily with any running back, and then they throw it.
Let's do a high degree of difficulty precision route with our wide receivers that can't run precision routes. That was a real head scratcher.
Let's do a flicker fade to the running back.
You know what that play reminded me so much of? It was like classic Anthony Lynn Chargers. Classic. Like it was like freaking deja vu all over again. Like really, truly. Okay. The Justin Herbert notes to why I don't have a play on this game. Don't have a real lean one way or the other. I think
totals where it should be.
Totals where it should be. The Chargers have a defensive scheme that, if they execute well, can keep the Chiefs in check, which should give the Chargers a chance. But I got to watch for a couple of key things here, notably. Is because the Justin Herbert puzzle is nowhere close to solved. If it's like you don't have the box, you don't know the puzzle you're building yet, I'm still like nowhere close to figuring out what we're even building.
Do you love puzzles?
Oh yeah, in the wintertime? Oh fuck yeah. Puzzles. Love puzzles in the winter. I haven't built a puzzle since January probably, but I do love a good puzzle. Jigsaw puzzles, of course. The Justin Herbert experience is wild because he will have standout plays that, on watching the film, watching the recaps, they are literally like, there's only 1 or 2 other people in the league that can make that play. Like this guy absolutely has a future as a top 5 QB in this league. You can see it on film. But then there are other plays where he's making terrible decisions. Particularly those happen to have been concentrated on early downs, which is unusual. They happen to be concentrated when he's got a clean pocket, which is unusual, but they happen to be happening in the red zone at a high frequency as well, which is keeping points off the board for LA in general. And for those reasons, I can't get involved with the Chargers here under a touchdown. I was hopeful that we could have played a Chargers 7.5 because my fare is LAC 6 and change. So
my price on this about on market. I like the Chiefs slightly at the early number, but honestly, at the late number here. But I'm not playing it.
I looked at the Chargers schedule, and if they get this win, all of a sudden it looks soft over the next 6 weeks, which means there is a world where we wake up around November middle of November, Veterans Day. We wake up at Veterans Day, and the Chargers are 7-1. Is there any case to be made for Herbert? I mean, like this, the clips are circulating. He's in LA. Like, you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, I bet it this morning. Just looking, and I mean, we talked about this off air a little. That's why it came up. Like I put a little bit on.
I almost forgot to tee you up. I'm sorry.
I know. I know it's fine. I looked at the outright market for MVP and all the talk, like, oh, Derek Carr, and like whenever there's stupid money that comes into the comes into the market like that, I'm fine finding somebody with some value. Like you said, I'm a little worried about some of the red zone stuff, but man, he is making throws that very few men can, and he's still pretty young. The Chiefs twice sounds like, oh, that's not a good thing. It is if you're a quarterback who needs to put up stats to win an award. Like, this secondary can be beaten. They're not getting the pass rush that really matters right now. I think playing the Chiefs and the Raiders and Minnesota they have coming up, they have some bad secondaries that he can put up some big numbers on. And yeah, a young quarterback, it's such a stupid media award and we've said this with so many things, especially coach of the year, comeback player of the year, so much is prefaced on expectations, and just the expectations are so low when you are in the same division as the Chiefs, who have been to the Super Bowl a couple years in a row, the AFC title game 3 years in a row. So like 28-1, anything better than that, I'm putting a small bet on him. Like, I like him. Coach of the year prices kind of got beat up on our guy. Like, some people are liking him already. It looks like you can get Arch Smith at 50-1 if you want. I did look at
the coach of the year market is a two-man race.
Yeah, Staley's down to 12. He would have a chance if it got to that point.
Forget it. No, two-man race, coach of the year market. Matt Rule, Vic Fangio. Both of those teams are going to overachieve wins. Both those teams have easy schedules.
Writing this one down. We got to clip this.
It's a two-man race.
I hate making calls this early on stuff.
And I don't like either of those.
I agree with you on Fangio. It will continue, with the schedule.
Outside of Stefanski, that will continue the long tradition of coach of the year going to a coach that's probably not that good. So that would be in keeping with sort of the general tradition, I think, if it goes to one of those guys.
Here's a question. Did Brett say that when we were in Vegas?
I don't remember. Did he?
We have to go back. It's on YouTube, Brian. Go look at that. I'm going to go watch that tonight on the ride home. Not watch it, listen to it. It's hard to watch YouTube while you're driving. But
Brett's call that I remember was Asante Samuel Jr. DROY.
Man, he might have said something about that. Either way, I bet it this morning. I have a little bit of
Herbert. You know Herbert. What? Yeah, you know what he said he
did like.
He basically was like, there's going to be a big Herbert expose at some point early in the season where we break down.
Oh, that was a video he was going to make. He likes Herbert. He wanted to bet into that.
Yeah, Sam, if you see Fangio 21 and Rule 16, that in my opinion, those are your two men at the top of the race for coach of the year at this point.
I'm down. So, don't tease this.
No.
Leave this alone. The Chargers play them tough. I'm staying away from this. Total's fine. Atlanta at the Giants. Talk me out of Atlanta, Drew.
Matt Ryan may be utterly washed. It's possible. It's possible that this is the Matt Schaub 2.0 experience, and we just are only seeing the beginning of it. And it's going to unfold in horrific fashion as we go through the first 2 months of the season. And there is a very real possibility that we get on a podcast and break down what is your grade for Josh Rosen starting for the Falcons before Halloween. It's not out of the question. It's not out of the question. That said, this is about as good as a spot as you could ask for if you are a struggling 0-2 team and you desperately need to turn your season around. They were feistier than the market realizes against Tampa. They played Tampa very hard until the pick sixes. They were in that game.
Down by 3.
They were down by 3. They were in that game. Ball bounces their way instead of going the other direction for
It just
7
hits
points
the turf,
twice.
maybe.
Just hits the turf. It's a very different perception because, and again, keep in mind, that was a weird game. Nobody fucking bet that game. Nobody fucking watched that game. There was so much other shit going on. Like that one really fell through the cracks. People looked at the score after and they were like, oh, Tampa covered that, expected that, blah, 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 move on. Right?
Easy win.
Easy win. The preseason expected line here. Do you want to guess what that was?
Pick.
It was 2.5. So
really,
not a huge shift. Would you have adjusted either of these teams up or down based on what you've seen through 2 weeks?
I do, and boy, I was a fan of this last year. I was on this bandwagon of Daniel Jones as a runner. It's like, Christ, he's kind of fast, and these design runs are good. Like, they're the best plays that Garrett had. It was like these are all working every time. Atlanta's defense has not shown anything. That's probably what's going to keep me off this. And the other part is I missed the 3.5, but I make this 1.8, meaning I should bet the 3, but just recency bias, anchoring bias, having a plus 13 melt and just turn to ash in my mouth last week probably hurt. So I'm a little too jilted to bet these. And it's at times the Giants looked okay. But another game that they should have won that game against, it was Washington. It was a weird Thursday game, but I make it about a -2. I should take the Falcons. I can't trust a team like this to stay that close when we're going to have issues where, it doesn't matter who you're facing. And yes, they're much better pass rushes the first 2 weeks than what they're facing here. But pressure on Ryan turns to turnovers, turns to points, and I'm just done with this team for the time being.
I saw some improvements in scheme out of Art Smith between week 1 and week 2. Yeah. Week 1 was an abject disaster for the Art Smith experience. Week 2 was at least a little bit more awareness of the game state. I would expect that continues to improve throughout the season, although I don't know if it's a magical switch that gets flipped now. This is Atlanta's second week in a row on the road, which is never a great thing for a team like this early in the season. They're 0-2, so if there are any wrinkles, any special stuff in Art Smith's back pocket, you would expect to see it this week. The coaching for the Giants is super, super suspect. A lot of the decisions Judge made in that game, I was like, wow, this guy really doesn't get it. And a lot of the kind of the general feel was he was coaching kind of like he was on the hot seat at 0-1. And I don't think Joe Judge is long for this job. Even though the Giants have a tendency not to try to fire people, the Joe Judge Jason Garrett combination is just horrific. And then you sprinkle a little Daniel Jones on top, and it's a true shit sandwich. So if I was going to play a side here, it's the Falcons. Ultimately, I went with the under here. So congratulations on another total. Although I got the better of this number, I played 48.5 to the under. It is 47.5-ish at some of our market making friends shops. So you can still get a 48. Anything over 47, I think, is a fair play here. The fact that the Giants were in an over game in prime time, I think, has thrown the market for a loop a bit in terms of what this fair total should be. And in general, these teams are playing kind of slow. So I think this is a kind of game that decided by a field goal late in the in the mid to low 40s. So under 48.5 for me. Let's move on to the next game on the card.
Andy Dalton and the Bears will head to Cleveland, record scratch. It is time. It is time for Mr. Fields. Andy Dalton's hurt. And then we got the good news that Andy Dalton's still the starter once he heals up, which is the stupidest effing thing I've heard all week. But this is, if nothing else, an exciting game for everybody to watch. I actually wish this were a late game so there are fewer things on so I could pay absolute attention to every time the Bears take the offensive side of the ball and watch this. Cleveland loses a receiver. Cleveland gains a receiver. I guess it makes sense what they did because they didn't really need the full regimen of offense last week. But Cleveland's looked fine. It looks like Baker's fine. And I really don't have a strong take here just because I don't know what we're going to see from Fields. And I don't really mean Fields. Going back to maybe the Mac Jones comments, said, oh, man, Belichick may be smart. They got these tight ends. They're doing stuff to build confidence, make Mac Jones comfortable, make him look good, make him not, just give away games, do stupid shit like Wilson's doing with the Jets. I don't feel like I can have that kind of confidence in the Nagy system for what he's going to let Fields do. I don't know if he'd go both ways where he just doesn't let him do enough and they're handing the ball off way too much against a good front, or they go too far and he's going to ask things of him that he's not ready to do. And it's going to turn into turnovers or just bad plays, turnover worthy plays. I just don't know what Nagy's going to ask of this young quarterback. And for those reasons, I really want to watch. This will be a game I'll watch more of that I don't have a bet on than probably any game this season. And I love Cleveland. I'm just a Cleveland guy this year.
We agree on that take 1,000,000%.
The Browns are 0-1. Look at we screwed them over in the graphic.
Oh, Brownies.
We'll give them the win.
You know what? Beating the Texans that way,
it doesn't
do
count.
They deserve a win? I don't know. Here's a thought. I was ready to fire Browns at 7. I was ready to play the over 45.5 because I was like, this doesn't check out. The Bears defense is not as good as they played against the Bengals. They're on the road again. The Browns match up well at all levels. They can take the pass rush completely out of the game with their offensive line, and they can either run it down their throats, play action them to death. They can do whatever they want to score points in this game. I ultimately am staying away as well and evaluating the performance of Justin Fields because this, in the back of my head, I can't get over how Nagy made Mitch Trubisky look in his rookie campaign by giving him the good plays, right? Matt Nagy in his playbook has the easy stuff, the stuff that he has the stuff that can make a quarterback look good. And if he calls that for Fields could be impressive in this game. And if he doesn't, Fields could still be impressive because if the play breaks down, that if he's operating out of structure, he's a dynamic athlete, and he's going up against a defense that is lacking in linebacker skill and talent. They lost an important player at the linebacker position for the Cleveland Browns last week. I don't know if you noticed. Their team in general has not gelled especially well defensively, despite all the injection of talent on the defensive side of the ball through free agency in the draft. And there's a realistic chance here that the Bears go score for score with the Browns, not unlike what the Texans and Tyrod Taylor just did for a lot of that game. That's could be a very similar game state. The uncertainty is bananas here. This is the highest variance game by far across my projections. To add even more randomness to it, it looks like we're going to have wins in the high teens in Cleveland. I don't know if Andy, if you remember, is Cleveland the type of stadium that is impacted by wind? Yes or no?
Damn you, Paul Brown! Your stadium is impacted by field. I don't know. Jesus Christ 987713114 brings up Fields over rushing props, which I get. What is your thoughts on?
That's a good look.
What
should the number be? Like 20, 19?
I was just going to ask you.
I would say it's probably going to be like 19.5, and he's probably going to go over.
I'm looking at a number right now.
Oh, is it?
Are you confident? No.
You want a real guess?
Because my smile says you're off.
What is the rushing prop?
So I'm not looking at an actual sports book. I just pulled up our DFS sponsor PrizePicks, which I should mention, the official PrizePicks. I got an entry for tomorrow. I'll post on Twitter because I play the Thursday night games and those.
It's probably
PrizePicks has a rushing total up for them.
Really? Okay.
This is like the clickbait title. It will Minnesota drivers. Here's one simple trick to lower your insurance. You'll be shocked.
You're setting me up that it's going to be so stupid fucking high that it's an auto under. Is it like 69 or something insane?
It's 44.5, which feels high, okay. But at the same time,
fair's got to be in the high 20s.
I was going to say 30.5, 29.5, somewhere like that. He could break a couple if they do some designed runs. That feels like it could be a thing, especially with what he brings to the table. And they're down a linebacker, and they maybe do lack a little speed in that area of the defense anyway. So that's high. That feels a little high, but I'm not excited about taking that under. If they go with a bunch of designed runs, he might just have 50 yards by attrition because he gets like 7 carries.
Yeah, he averaged 3.1 per carry last week in relief effort. Does he get more than 10 carries? Maybe. That at 44, that's an under, but
it's too high. It'll be interesting to see everything else. Yeah, I leaned over. I leaned Browns, but again, like you said, high variance game. If the Bears win this by 2 touchdowns, it won't surprise me because
I would be by 2 touchdowns. That means the Bears defense plays out. That means the Bears defense performs though. I
don't believe in the Bears defense, but Allen Robinson goes wild game.
The range of outcomes here is pretty narrow for the offensive output of Cleveland. It's pretty insane for Chicago, right? Like this is either a 33-31 type of game either way, or it's a 35-0. This could be an enormous spread and total, the total points. But ultimately, Cleveland I think gets there assuming it's not a monsoon.
I'll live bet this.
What's the Cleveland team total? You got any interest in that as a way to have a little action on game that you're going to watch every minute of?
So you're talking 22 3/4 plus 3.5 is
27.5,
26.5.
27.
Probably a juicy. Yeah, I know the Bears not winning by 2. The Bears are probably not winning by 2 touchdowns. I guess what I meant to say, it would not surprise me if the Bears offense showed up.
Sure,
that's probably a better way to put that.
The Bears could score 30. Scoring. The Bears could score 0.
Yeah, the Browns not scoring does not seem likely. So this will be maybe one of those where I hit multiple live overs because I'm having some fun.
Okay.
Maybe
no
Browns,
interest in a team total
over. Yeah, let's take interest.
Secret pod. I don't have anything else on this game, and I want a little bit. I wanted the over. Though 45.5 feels deflated considering what we're.
Save the secret pod pay for the Packers. Yeah, that one might be a play too.
My Packers number is getting away. By the way, I don't know if we're even going to be. They're even going to be around by the time we get there. See that movement today?
Yeah,
buddy.
In by the skin of my teeth on a 4 the other day.
Oh, good work.
3.5 is playable. We're kind of giving away the farm on that one. So Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. My numbers want me to play Cincinnati.
Official secret pod play on Cleveland. 27.
It'll be a juicy 26.5. I think it'll be like 26.5 minus 30.
Okay, and we'll wait for. Let's not make that the official play because we don't know about the wind yet. I may pull it. I may rug that if it's blowing 15 to 20.
Rug it.
All right, let's move on down the card. Oh, I didn't.
What do you make this
total is 21.5? Oh, that is good, Kendrick. That is good. That should be the official. That should definitely be it. That's a fucking smash. God damn.
You seen I parlayed them today.
I did see that with the Europe. So you got all the karma in the world on your side, except it's on the other side of the pond. All right. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, again, a market that I don't understand, an injury situation with Pittsburgh that I can't adequately handicap. So an easy stay away for me. We expected this line in the preseason to be 6. There was a look ahead last week that was 7, and then it opened at 4. It's been bet down to 3. So we are covering all of the bases here between 3 and 7 around when you could have bet into this market. Both of these sides were bet heavily last week. You saw mega steam on Cincy, pushed them across 3. You saw mega steam on Steelers, pushed them across 6. And neither side ever had a chance. And when that happens, the market gets real cold feet, real skitterish. about these teams.
Gets the skitters.
It's gets the willies. No one really wants to get involved anymore. And actually, I didn't even realize Wynn has Steelers -3 at -105. Wow. So a couple of things about this game. Ben plays. Ben plays through injuries. Don't overthink that. Deontay Johnson may not play. I don't know if that matters because Ben can barely get the freaking ball past the line of scrimmage, but that's beside the point. Surprise news, I expected TJ Watt to miss because he's dealing with the groin and those take a couple weeks. He was limited participant today. So that's trending. He'll play.
Yeah, it's seeming like it's not as bad as it. I'm with you on that. Obviously, the Alu, he's like out. Watt, but if it was him and Watt, that's a huge blow to that front seven. If Watt plays, it's a big deal. If Big Ben plays, hurt Big Ben is probably about the same as the backups. Like, he's not good, but the offensive line's bad enough where maybe it doesn't matter one way or the other. If they can get some pass rush, even though it's low, I kind of like the under here.
Yeah, there's another good reason to like the under. Zach Taylor is a dunce. Oh my God.
If it's windy in Cleveland, it'll be windy. It'll be windy in Three Rivers.
I didn't even really look at the wind for that one because I was not really considering.
I think the weather's gonna be kind of shitty here too. Yeah, so if this is a shitty weather thing, I am going to play the under here.
Okay. I hate the Zach Taylor comments. The Zach Taylor approach to that Bears game was a nightmare. This guy is not long.
Stinks.
This guy is not long for this world. Not long for this.
These guys stink.
The Bengals, by the way. Second week in a row on the road, right? They went to Chicago last week, Pittsburgh this week. Not a ton of travel, but worth noting. Bengals also. Honestly, I'm not involved at all with this game. I will not be involved. The Steelers, by the way, the love affair, the honeymoon between Ben Roethlisberger and Matt Canada lasted all of 2 quarters.
7 minutes.
Ultimately, because it wasn't looking good in the first half of week 1. They had a nice second half of week 1, and then everything went flying out the window week 2, and then Ben Roethlisberger already bitching after week 2 about the offensive approach. We are not out of the realm of this deconstruction, this disillusion of the Steelers this season. I expect it to happen later in the season, not now. And it's already happening. That's a huge, huge problem. They could get this. I'm hopeful that they get a couple more wins here early, and that there's a little throw the scent off a little bit throw the scent of the rotting flesh, the gangrene. Throw the gangrene scent off of the market so that they don't quite realize it yet. The fact that this game they were bet so heavily against is not a good sign. The market's probably onto this. But yeah, I think you got to, we're going to have to take our shots against the Steelers sooner than later, which is frustrating. Do you agree?
It might be, under Steelers team total under. You're right about the honeymoon. It went out the window. What's the word for that? Defenstration. Out the window. Out the window. So I lean under. This is the same as like the Cleveland game. I'm going to wait a little closer for the weather, even if I have to play it at like a 42.5 or a Steelers team total under.
I was thinking you were talking about like matricide, where you kill your spouse on the honeymoon. Isn't that a thing?
I feel like there's a couple novels about that. Probably a movie too.
Yeah. Ben Roethlisberger is about to push Matt Canada off the cliff on their hiking tour of Europe.
Defenestrate. Yes. Not excited about this. Not excited about a bunch of these games. And I don't have a proper number on this because of some of the injuries. So I didn't really take a strong interest in this side in total, just because the market had a very strong interest and I wasn't wanting to get in front of the train. Miami at beautiful Sin City. This is another one that had a quarterback injury, and then it had 2 quarterback injuries. It is going to be Brissett probably versus Carr. Carr's out there. He looks fine, I guess. And man, Raiders are better than we thought. But
you want to eat some crow about Derek Carr yet, or do we want to wait till we get a little more evidence?
I want to see him play a little more. Like, he's fine, but at the same time, like we didn't ever dog on Derek or Carr. We dogged on the rest of the team. We said this defense is going to stink. The offensive line might stink with the new configuration, and they they didn't do much to add to the offense. I think we both said like Derek Carr has been decent despite the coaching staff, despite the front office putting the talent around him that they did. And I'm not super excited about the Raiders long term, but yeah, they've played fine.
How much of the credit here goes to Gus Bradley and his coordination of the Raiders defense? He's got those guys in good positions. He's getting the most out of some players who out of the draft that I was like, these guys aren't good, and they are playing well. Yeah. Max Crosby. Oh, by the way, like you've put a lot of freaking draft capital into Cleveland Farrell. Max Crosby is he is a G. That guy can absolutely pass rush. He is good with the capital G. I definitely I did not expect the Raiders defense to look as good as they have. Completely acknowledge that. And I didn't expect the offensive line to perform as well as they have. You know who I'm prepared to eat a little crow on is Tom Cable, the Cable guy. He has done a good job of coaching up these offensive linemen because he is going to war with replacement level players at key positions that could have completely unwound the Derek Carr experience this year. And they're playing well. They held their own already now in 2 weeks in a row against teams that are capable of generating the pass rush. So hat tip to you, Tom Cable, the Cable guy. I did not think this was going to be a positive reunion between him and the Raiders, but to this point, it surely has been
okay.
It's been okay. So the Raiders did this to everybody last year too. They won their first game in Carolina. They backed it up with an upset on Monday Night Football against the Saints. They had a winning record late in the season that made people think they were in the playoff mix, and then it all came apart at the seams. I'm still prepared for that to be the most likely outcome here.
Yeah, this seems like a smash spot, but Brissett, despite him being a backup, is probably not a massive downgrade, just because it's like we haven't seen enough from Tua to say he's an upgrade or he's above replacement level. So like this number is where it is because of maybe some of the quarterback stuff, but I'm not excited to back the Raiders yet.
Yeah.
Even though I have been impressed, I just don't think it's a tougher defense. We'll see how this goes. And yeah, staying away from this one, strong, stay away.
I'll give Carr a little bit of credit for performing better under pressure when he has been. He used to be an absolute nightmare. You put him under an iota of pressure and he's skipping balls, throwing it out of bounds,
crying,
but not anymore. So congratulations to him. Patrick brings up a great point though. Richie Incognito is bullying these guys into shape. He is absolutely getting the best out of these guys, however he's doing it. What was the famous quote he had when he was calling that guy's, it's like your sister has a wolf puss?
Yeah, he said some fucked up stuff to that guy.
Your sister has a wolf puss is the one that I remember.
him and Robbie Anderson, all-time quotables.
Yes,
not even just quotables. For what's that bear doing?
What's that bear doing?
Jets Denver. Yeah. Jets Denver finishes up the trifecta of this team might not be that good, but we're certainly not going to see them regress this week because it's the GD Jets. The Jets probably facing even Chubb out sucks. Like Chubb being hurt for a big chunk of the season sucks. It sucks.
6 to 8 weeks he's out.
Yeah, this defense is still good without him. But yeah, he is going to get some bone spur surgery on his lower extremities, be out for probably 8 weeks, I'd lean towards. But the Jets, it's a big number, but do you really want to do that?
No.
At altitude against Teddy effing covers. This is the only non-Wong teaser that I'm probably excited about all year, like getting the Broncos at a low number. They have looked pretty good against teams that they can beat,
If you have an appetite to bet the Jets, do me a favor, do me a solid, and stick to the first half. Don't play the full game. Because as Andy mentioned, not only is this game at altitude in September, but it is going to be hot there as well. This is going to be surface of the sun, dry ass heat, like oppressive Vegas outdoors kind of a heat on top of the fact that you are at altitude. So the likelihood that the Jets and their kind of thin roster performs well in the second half in this game, my goodness, no. My goodness, no. If they hang first half, and it all comes apart in the second half. That is my fundamental read on this one.
A question here from Twitch, which we got 2 Twitch people now.
Yeah.
We're growing. We doubled on Twitch. Not just Rick Daddy 69420 anymore. Spartans is over there. What is your opinion of Salah so far? It's too early, I think.
Good job. I like the shots of him pregame running up the stairs at the stadium.
It's just such a bad roster. Like, how do you judge him?
I give him a B+. I give him a B+. He got a cover week 1. Generally, I think that the defense has exceeded my expectations. Is that crazy? He lost his number 1 pass, Carl Lawson. They went out and gave him big bucks to be the cornerstone of their defense. Lost that guy, and yet they're still doing okay defensively. Like, if you give up 19 week 1 or 18? You give up 19 week 1, you give up 25 week 2. A lot of that was assisted by some short fields because of the turnovers. In the NFL, if that's what you're conceding, you should have a shot to win some games.
You just need this offense to figure it out a little bit. And I think some of it might not happen just because of the lack of talent. But if that's what he can get of this defense early on in his tenure, I think probably bright future. If they can add some offensive pieces and get Wilson to play at a decent level. So,
yeah. To answer Lenz's question about the second half under in this type of game, I would expect a second half under in the 21 ballpark, and I probably wouldn't bet it because I would be worried that Melvin Gordon would rip off 4 touchdowns in the second half. Honestly, not really. I'm not being serious, but like it's a fragile enough number that actually probably gonna be 20, honestly, with the total like 41. You'll probably go over the first half by a hair, if anything, and then you'll get a little depressed total for the second half, and it'll probably be real tight. The offense, I guess the Mike LaFleur experience has been underwhelming. Have not been impressed at all with the conceptual framework of that offense, but this defensive team for the Jets has a talent level that is close to the bottom of all the league in a lot of last couple of years, and yet they're keeping them in games. So gotta give a passing grade to Salah at this point. Let's move on to game of the week.
A good one. A team that we deemed a bit of a paper tiger, who is 2-0, and a team that we deemed as world beaters, just because it's super easy to say that when they were, and they are the same exact team. And we bet the Buccaneers. I was able to get them on the money line at +100 on Sunday.
Snooze, you lose.
Pretty good about that. It did move our way. My numbers had Tampa favored, and they were a dog. I said that's probably flipped, even on the road. This will be an exciting game. Even without a bet, this is going to be a good one. We'll see the Rams taking on a tough D, albeit at home, and then Brady possibly missing a receiver with some COVID stuff. We need a double positive or double negative result for him to travel to LA, but the whole team's vaccinated. So does that mean like he has it? Like he clearly has it because he's showing symptoms? I don't know what the deal is. We'll find out more. Not going to affect my thing. If any team can afford to lose a receiver, it's Tampa Bay. They have a wealth of riches at the wideout / tight end. You saw Gronk in the Manning cast being goofy, but Christ, he's been good this year. 4 touchdowns already, doing what he's done forever. He's not even that old. So looking for this offense to continue. And this is going to be a biggest problem for the Rams, where they have, again, some strong pieces, but not a complete defense. They have some problem spots. And when you go up against an offense that has so many different weapons on offense, and a smart coach and a very smart quarterback, he's essentially becoming the Peyton Manning, like extra offensive coordinator on the field, because he knows so much about football because he's been playing it for 35 years now. it's like he's going to be able to find your weak spots in this defense and pick on it because there's too many good receivers. So I love this play. Feel weird taking a small road dog here. Well, small road favorite now in LA, but Tampa Bay indoors, give it to me, baby.
I feel weird because I've kind of bet this already a lot, right? Like any Tampa future you placed was them winning this game.
Pretty much.
Any Brady MVP you placed was Brady doing well in this game. Any last team undefeated, Tampa Bay 6-1, is Tampa winning this game, obviously, right? Like there are a lot of. I have a lot out there on Tampa winning, so I hope they don't fuck me. I guess this is where I'm at here. I played it also on the money line on the opener. That was fun. Got a great number. Market agreement is strong. Although I will tell you
we got plus 110 at one place.
Here's what I will warn you. Here's what I will caution you. If you are a bettor and you are listening to this breakdown now on Wednesday, tomorrow on Thursday, this weekend on Friday, whenever you choose to listen to your deep dive, or maybe you spread it out and you listen to it in little chunks every day. And now here you are at the end of the podcast, and we're finally getting to the game you wanted us to talk about. There is now market resistance at 1.5.
That's why there's timestamps.
There's market resistance at 1.5, which means the consensus is this is a fair line. And I'm happy I got the number I got. I feel like the Buccaneers are the correct side here, but there are clearly more opinions out there than just ours. And the consensus appears to be that the current fair price is Buccaneers small favorite.
Yep.
Okay. My fair is Buccaneers 2.5. Our friend Suma on the podcast this morning made this his favorite play of the week. He says his fair is Buccaneers -3. I've known for the entirety of the preseason run up that I am high on the Rams. I'm high on the Bucks relative to market. Suma's high on the Bucks. You're high on the Bucks. We're all low on the Rams relative to market. So the fact that we are on that side of the current number where there is resistance is not surprising.
Not super surprising.
You have to be a little bit respectful of that. Don't get over your skis on one game in the NFL. That's the most bet game of the week that the market now says is fair. Is that an okay caveat?
I liked you talking some reason into these degenerate yahoos. Good call. But yes, I like this one quite a bit. And yeah, with my adjustments out, I have Tampa as like a 1.5 point favorite. So I'm where the market is now. And yeah, I think the two books we looked at on Sunday, they were even and plus 110 on the money line. So average price of plus 105 for me because I like to spread it out. And we're on to Minnesota.
Oh, actually, real quick, all that said,
you got one more thing.
Yeah, all that said, Tampa Bay like 38-10. Let's fucking go. Bury these guys. Fuck them. Fuck the Rams. Bury them. Do it. You know, Todd Bowles, whatever you got in your pocket for defensive adjustments, freaking give it to him. Tom Brady, go throw 6 touchdowns, put yourself in the top of the MVP market. This is it. I would love to see it. Love to see it. Same kind of game plan that they did burying the Packers last year. Same thing they did to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Bring it out. Bring all the goods, and let them have it. So, let's move on to
another one Seahawks. We played on Sunday.
Vikes. Yeah.
What did you get here? I feel like I got Seattle -1. Or
yeah,
I'm gonna have to go back and look.
-1 for me. There was a pick'em. There was a pick'em that was available for a hot second at a juicy price that I got a tiny bit of, but most of my action is Seahawks -1.
I like that. I like that look. Minnesota, despite all the nice things I said about Kirk Cousins, and he was pretty good. This Twitch channel took me like 5-10 minutes to find, he said.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll advertise the Twitch channel a little bit more on Twitter. Let people to go over there if there are people like that a little better than obviously YouTube was really good. If you're over on Periscope, go find that. But Twitch is also a really nice platform. That said, I said nice things about Kirk Cousins. Dalvin Cook is obviously very good, but he is starting to look like CMC, where it's every week he's dinged up a little and he's missing a series or two. I didn't like some of the quotes from Zimmer basically saying, like, if he says he can play, I'm going to run him into the ground because it's my job to use my weapons and try to beat teams. So Yeah, I'm not excited about him making it through the season. Vikings, small dog at home. Seahawks traveling. It's indoors. That's fine. I don't think we've seen the best of the Seahawks offense yet. We saw some really good offense, and then we saw some really suspect play calling when they had a big lead. I guess I'm less worried about it here because it's a small favorite. They don't have to hang on and cover a big number here if they get out to a big lead. This Minnesota defense legit stinks out loud. Like I said, Kyler Murray is good, and he is squirrely. He has some decent receivers. Yes, he has some really good receivers. One really good receiver. I like Seattle's receiving core quite a bit too. On turf against these garbage cornerbacks, pretty bad secondary. That guy who got the pick six, I don't even know who that guy was. Like, congratulations on Vigil. Like, that was a nice snag. That was just a really shitty throw, honestly. But the Minnesota defense doesn't offer enough, especially from a pass rush standpoint, to stop this offense. The only thing that stops the Seattle Seahawks offense for the last 5 years is Seattle Seahawks. And like, I guess Minnesota getting in the back door just seems unlikely without them winning the game, which feels very Seahawksy. But still, my numbers couldn't get close to this being a pick 'em.
Yeah. That's where I'm at as well. And is it weird that
I have it at 2.5. What do you have this at? Fair. I'm like 2.4.
I'm almost square 3.
Yeah. I thought I was too far out. I'm glad you said that. Like, when I said that, I'm like 2.5, baby.
Super close to it. Seattle's my 7th power rated team right now. Minnesota is 16th for me. So I have a meaningful gap between these guys.
Seattle is 6 for me.
You're 6 or 7. Yeah, we're pretty close.
Where are you, Minnesota? They're pretty much tied with San Francisco.
Where's your Minnesota
They're
number?
essentially Minnesota is they're right in that mash of like middle, like almost being a 0, little below 0.
Okay, so 16 is pretty close then. Okay,
yeah,
You real quick. So you're Seattle. My Seattle is 7. This is a weird, by the way, and I kind of tripped out when I saw this. I have Seattle 7. I have Rams 8. I have Niners 9, and I have Cardinals 10. So 4 spaces occupied by the 4 NFC West teams in a row.
I have the Cardinals 10.
Interesting. So the Seahawks should get this win. They're the better team, but they do stupid stuff. In the same sense that the range of outcomes for Cleveland, Chicago, it could be a 3-point game, could be a 30-point game. This feels like a Seattle 3 to 6 point win happens an absurd amount of the time. Absurd.
A 2 to 4 point win is like 90% of the outcomes.
Yes. Just an absurd number of the outcomes are touchdown or under, but more than a point. And that's just the way that the Seahawks play these games, and especially against a team that has a pulse on offense, or at least a quarterback with a pulse and wide receivers who are healthy. And Minnesota's finally at home after 2 weeks in a row on the road. We talked about how they ought to be 2-0 if the ball had bounced their way, but they are 0-2, and now, like, it's literally this thin of a margin between people talking about, are they the best team in the NFC North, and if the Packers lose to the Niners, are the Vikings gonna cruise to an NFC North title? And then bounce. Oh, Zimmer might be the first coach fired, and this team is on the hot seat, and everything has gone sideways. And honestly, there's merit on both sides, because this offense, if it were run plus EV scheme wise, this offense would be bananas good. They would not be middling. They would be top tier, because the talent is awesome. However, they insist on doing minus EV stuff in terms of sequencing. They insist on running the most predictable, worst play in the goddamn playbook in high leverage, short yardage situations. This has been an MO of the Mike Zimmer regime, and it's insane that the new guy, Kubiak's son, picked up right where he left off. And yet here we are talking about this is happening, for the umpteenth consecutive year. The fundamental Seahawks letting teams back into games, not putting their foot on throats, That is in their DNA at this point. Pete Carroll seems like he wants to play that way. Why? No one fucking knows.
Give the fans their money worth.
Give the fans their money worth. And I guess if Seattle's up big at halftime, easy play Minnesota second half. I mean, right?
Minnesota fire. If they're a dog, you're playing money line. Yeah, fire on that and find yourself a beautiful middle.
Seattle up 2 scores, live over, right? I mean,
Minnesota team total over. Second half over.
The idea that they ultimately put their foots on the throat of this team, I don't see it. And honestly, Dalvin Cook is banged up, and it's insane that the quotes you're reading is literally Mike Zimmer. Well, we're gonna use him anyway. We're gonna
I'm gonna try to get him hurt, guys.
We're gonna run him into the goddamn ground, because guess what? When the hot seat gets hot under Zimmer, he always defaults to the same damn problems, and he makes what is inherently not working, he exacerbates it. And it drives me insane. And I wish nothing but the best for him on a team where he's coordinating a plus EV defense next year and wins the Super Bowl. But this ain't it.
Second coach fired, Mike Zimmer. right after Urban quits and goes to
right after Urban quits. Now, real quick, was the Urban comment about everybody looks like Bama that was leaked by Fangio? Like, did he say that because he's trying to send a message?
Video of
is he trying to send a message that like, hey, I'm ready to prepare for Bama. If anyone wants to, make a phone call. If anyone wants to pick up the phone.
There's straight up video footage of him saying it like after the game, talking to Fangio. It's funny.
I mean, he has one foot out the door. We're not dreaming, right?
No,
I'm not. This is not cognitive bias where I want him to leave, and so I'm assuming that every sign is he's going to, right?
Yeah. No, I'm pumped for this.
Okay. No. Well, speaking of guys who should go back to college, Pete Carroll, you're ruining my Russell Wilson enjoyment. So thank you for that. Last game on the card.
Another agreement for us. This was one where we both bet Green Bay, and again, I'm still fine with this at 3.5. You can find a nice price.
It's not going to last long.
I think this ends up closing at 3. I make San Francisco a 2-point favorite, barely, and that is with some questionable upgrades / downgrades where I tried to actually make it closer to the market just after I looked at how far I was off. I hate doing that where I try to fix my numbers, but once I'm off, I start to look at it like, what am I missing here? And I tried to adjust back down, and really it's probably closer to San Francisco -1.5 is where I should have this at. So I don't make sense of this. I love the Niners, but the Packers are a good team. We saw that. I'm not sure what happened in week 1. Rodgers after the Lions win, he kind of said it all. It's like, yeah, we're 1-1 now. It's fine. We won the last game. We're just moving on. Like, he knows he's got 4 months of this shit. He's been around the block. So this is this is kind of a banger for me too. And I did play the Packers money line parlayed with Europe at a nice +650 price because it's cover play, Drew. That's what I said, just in case.
Yeah, I love this one.
Even with missing our Smith on defense.
Yeah.
Jimmy G is not ever going to be a great quarterback. Even
that's exactly what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, he's never going to be a great quarterback, and they're signing running backs off the street right now. And it's worked the last few years, but you can only do that so long. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with the running game for San Francisco right now.
So the general read here that I wanted your take on about, and it revolves around, it's this game specifically. I mean, and again, like, there's so many fucking angles. We could have done a whole hour on this game probably because it's a fun one, and we're going to break it down a lot more at halftime. So hold on to your butts. We'll save some of the good points, but the Jimmy G experience in 2021 is a fucking disaster. It's a disaster. And honestly, my opinion of what was going on with the brain trust between Lynch and Shanahan has been utterly shattered by the last 5 months, right? Like, what exactly the vision is from the moment that you trade away you mortgage your entire future to pick third, through the entire process of evaluating and then selecting Lance, through the entire offseason of nurturing Lance, giving him the opportunity to shine in the camp, getting everyone who covers the team just mouths watering about how well he's playing and what a difference maker he is and how he will be just an absolute stud at the pro level, to then, oh no, we're going to gadget him till he's ready, to sending mixed messages about Jimmy G's job security, to now where Jimmy G is running, like he is literally being given presumably a plus EV offense and electing to do the things that he knows will not lose him the job. Right?
Yeah.
And so you inadvertently have created this enormous freaking everybody's watching their backs, like no one really knows what the fuck is going on kind of a situation with this offense that honestly, like, I don't understand why that was the plan. And it's everything about what has happened, I have questions about, and I don't even really know that they know, or if they're kind of playing it by ear. And I'm concerned. I'm legitimately concerned about the Niners.
It's puzzling. Yeah, we could go over this all night, but I want to go to bed. So I'll let you cover that. And I'll say, like, the biggest takeaway is everybody saw a bad Packers defense on primetime, and that's the talking point. It's like the Niners,
because they only stayed up and watched the first half.
Well, even the second half, it's not like the defense was any good. It's just the Lions kind of shot their, fumbling a snap and just kind of some minus EV play calling from the Lions. Like, the Packers defense did step up a little, but it's still not good. And people are going to talk about a bad Packers defense, and they're not going to talk enough. And it is so that matchup is an okay Niners offense versus a bad Packers defense. But on the other side, I believe the mismatch is even bigger, is Aaron Rodgers against a bad Niners secondary. Like, people aren't going to talk about the other side of the matchup for some reason, and that is why this total's been bet up. This total got bet up a couple points already. Honestly, it might still get bet up. This might be a play too. This over shouldn't be below 50, really, now that you look at it. It's already up to 49.5. I'm not sure I'm ready to take it at the worst of the number, but both of these defenses are probably going to give up some big plays.
Yep.
And I really do think Rodgers keeps it rolling against a pretty suspect secondary.
Yeah. Let's talk about why the Packers are such a plus CV play for 1 second, and then we'll fire a secret pod play on this team total over.
Give away the good surprise.
Game state. It's all about game state. Packers do well early, go out to a lead. They're scoring touchdowns on this team, no doubt in my mind. They have all the tools that they need to score touchdowns, not field goals. Is Jimmy G capable of comeback mode?
It's not a good defense, but yeah, I don't like Jimmy G in that situation. And again, if the Packers get the ball back, they have two good running backs and a decent run scheme.
Okay, so now the flip side then, let's say it is what the handicapping community expects. High total, Niners 3.5. This is the Niners going to be physical, push them around, dictate the game. Just like last week against Philly, which, by the way, was a completely misleading final score. Philly probably should have won, but we'll set that aside for a second. How do you feel about Aaron Rodgers in comeback mode?
I feel like I've seen him do it. I can't point to a specific example, but I absolutely can.
Yeah. So, Richard Sherman's not out there in the secondary in his late prime. This is absolutely. There's no matchup for Devontae Adams on that side of the field. There's no matchup for Robert Tonyan, honestly.
Tonyan, kind of a sneaky,
kind of a baller.
All of a sudden, we are in a tight end centric league.
Yeah,
it is the age.
Kind of good.
It's the age of the tight end.
Yep, and the utilization of Aaron Jones in the passing game, all of this checks boxes that I think, really the Niners defense is at this point. You had Nick Bosa, you got Fred Warner, and you got a bunch of guys, and most of those guys are in the secondary, and they're going to have a long night on Sunday. Again, the Packers plus 3.5 is resilient because they are 100% live to backdoor that, regardless of the score at halftime. Packers with a lead in this game. I'm like money line solid because Jimmy G in comeback mode, that is a dream scenario here. If he is forced to try to make the plays along the sidelines, 11 to 20 yards down the field, you're going to have multiple opportunities to take the ball away from these guys.
Snap right in front of that. Cornerback jumps the route. Yeah. So, and the worry would be a little bit of the pass rush is good for the Niners, but I think we have a smart enough quarterback coach combo where they just said, hey, guess what? We're neutralizing that. We're getting the ball out quick. We're going to take some rollouts. We're going to take some bootlegs, and we're going to get Rodgers on the move. We're going to take Bosa out of the play, and Devontae Adams is going to be 3 yards clear of somebody, and we're going to make it happen. So, the Niners will get theirs. The Niners will score it. This is not going to be a Packers masterclass, but 3.5 is too much. I make this a very close game.
Yeah, and in general, the Packers O-line does have some young faces on it, some new bodies, but legitimately having Aaron Rodgers improves that line because number one, he can get the ball out quickly if he's feeling pressure. And number two, he is amazing at communicating roles and responsibilities. And it's not an accident that they're the highest graded rookie offensive lineman to this point in the season was a guy no one knew who got drafted by the Packers deep into that draft. Like, it's because Aaron Rodgers is telling him exactly what to do on every play, and he's doing it. Like, that's not a surprise. So it should be a good night for the Packers. I like that play a lot. If it gets to 3, you were warned. I don't know what else to say. I think it's going to 3.
And truthfully, we don't expect everyone to just agree with us and bet what we're betting. Like if you like the Niners, I think you should wait. I think you're going to see some more Packers love in this market. And if you want the Niners, I think you can get a 3. So I would probably wait. Just advice to you.
Yeah, I agree. And team total over for the Packers, it's going to go up. So might as well play it now. That is our
anything under 24. I like.
Yeah, 20. I would even sell out to 23.5 personally, if you can. I don't know if you can do that. Not many places with those up now, but this is a weather agnostic game right now. We're looking at 10-mile-an-hour winds in Santa Clara.
It's not like they're on the ocean here. They're like an hour in. So,
yeah. You know what? Body clocks should be advantage Packers too. By the way, the Niners have spent 2 weeks on the East Coast, and now they're playing in primetime. 2 weeks on the East Coast with the early kickoff. Now they're playing in primetime. Packers coming right off of a primetime game on Monday Night Football. Packers get out to a good start. Packers bury these motherfuckers. Let's go, Pack. Go, Pack, go.
Pack,
how many horns are there in Go Pack Go? Do you remember?
Okay. We had an argument about this. We had to go on YouTube.
But it's like definitely 6.
It's 6. Yeah.
It's 6.
All right.
Yeah. I thought it was.
Well,
5.
Guys, it's been fun. We need bye weeks to come so we don't have so many games. We can keep this to like an hour and a half. But I had fun. You guys had fun. Some really good comments today. If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. I don't know if there's a thumbs up on Twitch. If you're on Twitch, I don't know. Go switch over to a CSGO stream, I guess, now. If you are excited about this weekend, give me a thumbs up. Anything, just give me a thumbs up. And also have fun. We'll catch you this weekend. I'll catch you tomorrow night for the worst halftime show we'll do all year.
I forgot to give producer Dan my card to put up at the end. I will remember next week. So apologies, guys. But
I'll make one. I should just make one.
If you didn't catch all that, I don't know what to tell you. We were trying to be careful. Anyway,
there'll be timestamps on YouTube if you want to go back and watch it.
Triple stamp the double stamp, and
there'll be stamps.
Yeah.
Hit the music.
Great show. I feel like we're starting to get there.
Mid-season form?
Yeah. We gotta do.
To start playing.